Hello. I have been a licensed driver for over 40 years and have had unexpected auto situations happen about 10 times. That averages out to about 1 time every 4 years. For the last 10 years, I have kept an emergency kit in my car and used parts of it several times. Just having it with me gave me peace of mind. This past winter, my friend Becky, who I interviewed, was going up from Coeur d'Alene to Priest Lake for a girls' weekend with some friends. She left Coeur d'Alene unknowingly that a storm was approaching the Priest Lake area. She got about halfway to Priest Lake and she lost cell service. It got dark, it started snowing, and so everything changed quite quickly. About 30 miles from the cabin, the weather got really bad and she was going very slow along the lakeshore drive. She realized that she had gone too far. She went to turn around, realized that the road was icy, and she actually slid off the road and into a ditch. Before COVID-19, how many times a week would you get into your car and drive to work or school, go shopping, pick up coffee, go see friends? Did you ever experience car trouble or another kind of roadside emergency? If so, would it be nice to feel prepared for that next time? Roadside emergencies will happen, but some preparations and a car emergency kit can keep you and your loved ones safe. Today I will cover how much Americans rely on their vehicles, what the most common roadside emergencies are, what planning and preparing you should do ahead of time to minimize the impact of the emergency roadside situation, and we'll learn the rest of Becky's story and what happened on that snowy night in Priest Lake. Here are some statistics and incidents where advanced knowledge and planning would come in handy. Everyone drives cars. According to a study done by the Automobile Club of America, Americans drive an average of 290 hours per year. That's equal to about 7 40-hour work weeks. According to the same study, people who live in rural areas drive even more. This makes me think of our classmate Dalton, who lives in St. Mary's and drives to North Idaho College 5 days a week. That's probably about 10 hours and 500 miles each week. Car emergencies are unpredictable, but we know that they will happen and we can prepare. Emergency management information at efficientgov.com tells us that the supplies we need will depend on 2 different emergency scenarios. The first one is when we are required to stay in our car because of a flat tire or a snow or ice event. The second one is when an emergency evacuation requires us to pack up our cars and go to a safer destination. A few simple preparations will give you peace of mind that you are aware of what can go wrong and are prepared for the unexpected. You can personally prepare yourself for emergencies by learning how to use jumper cables, how to change a tire, learning what to do if you get an accident or run out of gas. Make sure you have a spare tire, a lug wrench, a tire jack, and learn to change a tire on your car. Learn to use jumper cables. The same thing goes for learning what to do if you run out of gas or are in an accident. Think things through ahead of time and do your best not to be caught off guard. Another thing to do is to assemble an emergency car kit and keep it in your vehicle at all times. You don't have to go out and spend a lot of money. You probably already have a lot of these items around. Here is my car kit. This is what I carry with me at all times. A powerful flashlight, a first aid kit, a blanket, those all-important jumper cables, a tire compressor and tire gauge, small toolkit, a jacket, can't forget snacks, and a gallon of water. Another thing that you might need to do is access the internet, and there are plenty of lists out there that'll tell you what you need in a car kit depending on the season, depending on where you're going. It'll give you ideas and lists of things you might want to have with you. So take a look at that. Use the internet as a resource. Let me tell you the rest of Becky's story in Priest Lake and what she learned. She learned to stay in her vehicle and not go out. She did have everything she needed with her. She had water, she had food, she had warm clothes. She had nearly a full tank of gas, so she could keep her truck running. She had her cell phone, she had her charger, but she didn't have any cell service. The good news is that she wasn't hurt. Down a little. Okay. What she ended up doing was taking some of the supplies that she had and walking out to the main road and left them there along the street so that law enforcement, when they would be looking for her, they could see that something out of the ordinary was there, and then they would hopefully turn down that street. Then where she had gone off the road, you couldn't see her truck from the road, so she placed more of her belongings up on the embankment so they'd see, oh, I'm coming down this road because those supplies were there. Here's another pile of supplies, and that's how they found her. One thing that she wishes she would have had with her would be emergency flares or those emergency triangles that light up, because if she had those out, she would have been saved a lot of time in the cold, out in, in the truck by herself in the winter. She was out there a total of 6 or 7 hours. So that's how long it took to find her with the weather and her not being visible. I hope Becky's story and the information I've shared will urge you to prepare yourself for what can go wrong on the road and to assemble an emergency car kit and what your kits could contain, but the rest is up to you. I want you to be prepared to help yourself or someone else in an emergency. I told you why advanced planning and a simple car kit can provide safety in an emergency. We've talked about how much Americans rely on their vehicles. We've talked about the planning and prep you should do ahead of time to minimize the impact of a roadside situation, and I've given you a first-hand account of a very real situation that happened to my friend this past winter. It turned out well for her, but it could have ended up much differently. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to make yourself a car kit. Either go out and buy some of the items or just gather up what you have, but I want you to have one with you in your car at all times. And I want you to be prepared for an emergency and know what to do when one happens. Do you have any questions?